Everyone talks about marketing, sales, and growth, but the wrong team can undo all of it. Okay, so today we're going to discuss what most CEOs assume about hiring, why it leads to their drama, their delays, or even dead weight, right? We're going to talk about how that can affect your profit margins, even though you're still being led to burnout, okay? And we're just at the bottom line, we're talking about why most teams are built to fail, okay? So to just kick it off, to jump right in, we're going to go over the 3 popular profit-killing mistakes that CEOs tend to make when they're hiring, all right? Like literally we're going to go in. So mistake number 1, can we talk about it? Can we talk about mistake number 1? We're hiring too late or too early. Okay. Let's talk about it, shall we? You don't need to wait until you're drowning before you hire. I always tell my clients, I'm like, look, how many of us have gone to the grocery store hungry before? When you go to the grocery store hungry, what happens? You will pick up any and anything to eat. You're not thinking about the meal that you can create and make that is healthy for your body. No, you're thinking about what can I just shove in my mouth right now? So you're getting the potato chips, you're getting all that, and all the guilt that comes with it, the pop soda and all the other things, right? So you don't need to wait until you're drowning to hire, but you also don't want to hire too early as well. Like the timing has to be strategic. Okay, there's like a sweet spot. So I've often shared this story, but it will help us to understand the concept of not hiring too late or too early. So for this one, I believe my client hired too late. What do I mean? She already had about 400 team members and no manager doing a 8-figure project. She was burning out, and it was a lot on her and her right-hand person. And I was just like, yeah, this was a bit late. You needed a manager yesterday, right? And so we ended up having to go get a manager, and she felt that relief after. But at the end of the day, she waited way too late to hire. No one is asking you for all of that, right? But then there are times where you're trying to hire too early, right? Meaning, I had another client who came up to me and said, hey, I have this great business idea, and I'm going to go ahead and hire this marketing firm to help me push it out. And I was like, sir, I wouldn't push that out yet. There's proof of concept. You want to have proof of concept before you start spending money on a marketing firm. You got to know where you are, at what stage of business you are in. I did a video about that. You can check it out on my YouTube page. Okay? I did a video about the stages of business and what to do when. Right? So that you don't hire too early. But you often hear me talk about how in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and there was 3 beings, God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I do believe from the very beginning you need those 3. But those 3 could probably carry you for a while. You just don't want to have 400 team members and you're burnt out, the 3 of you, right? So hiring too early and hiring too late is definitely one of the mistakes. Okay, the other mistake that I notice people are making is they hire for skill instead of output. What do I mean? What do I mean? So let me just help us really quick. When you hire anyone, you're not hiring them just to do work. Okay, you're not giving them busy work. This is not grade school where the substitute teacher came in and you have a whole packet of busy work to be done. And we all know it was busy work because we're like, what was the point of this? It's not even a part of what we were like, what was the point, right? That's not what we're doing, all right? We're literally hiring for results. Every person you hire, should bring an ROI. They should bring a return on investment. If you're hiring someone and they are not making you money, they are an expense and they are unnecessary. I said it. And that means everyone from a team member all the way up. Period. They have to be helping with the bottom line somewhere. Okay? So literally, we have to be able to hire skilled team members who produce outcomes. All right? If they're skilled and they don't produce outcomes, like what is the purpose? Like, profit does not come from resumes, y'all. Anyone can make a great resume. Anyone can interview well. How many of us have been there? Let me see it in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you have ever hired skilled people. And I'm gonna look right now. If you have skilled people and they cannot produce, they're great at the interview. They're great at doing the work per se. But if they're not giving you any results that you can measure, that's a problem. Okay? And that also reflects on you. You need key performance indicators, success metrics, to ensure that they're being successful in your business. All right? Because how many of us, can we talk about this really quick? Because we got to also look at ourselves, right? We got to look at ourselves. How many of us have done a lot of busy work in our lives to avoid doing the actual work that will move the needle? Can we talk about that? Because we know that there are needle moving activities that we must get done in our business for return, but we're sitting here doing a lot of busy work, stacking papers, filing, doing things that they may be necessary, but are they needle moving? Are there are productive ways of procrastination? I call that productive procrastination. You know what you need to do in order to move the needle forward. You don't want to do it, and therefore you do productive procrastination to make yourself feel better. Like, I was productive today. I did something. Knowing very well in the pit of your stomach there was something you needed to do that you didn't do, that you had to get done, that you didn't get done. Huh? And then we say, oh, we didn't have the time to do it. Am I being too? Okay, I'll leave it alone. Well, we don't want to hire people like that in our business. How about that? Let me keep it there. Okay, we don't want to hire people like that. Okay, the third mistake that I notice that the business owners are doing is they're babysitting, like they're parenting their team, right? If you feel like you're babysitting or micromanaging, that is a sign of a broken structure and system in your business. It doesn't necessarily mean that the people are bad. It doesn't necessarily mean that the people are bad. Hi, Danelle. Hi, Serenity. I'm trying not to be too crazy here. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that the people are bad. We may have to check your systems. We may have to check your KPIs, your success metrics. Make sure that it is properly communicated to the team that you have. Okay? So that is very key. That is very, very key. So these three mistakes I've noticed when it comes to hiring, if these mistakes are made, it can lead to a team that really doesn't help you, that you still have to deal with burnout, okay, that's bleeding your profits. Absolutely. It can definitely do that. By the way, before I continue, and I'm going to show you some alternatives, but before I continue, I want to invite every last one of you that are here, if you haven't already, sign up for the free masterclass this Sunday. We're going to be talking about hiring profitable teams, and it's free. It's free. I'm just here to serve. So sign up for that. Save your spots. Spots are limited. I just want to let you know. Now let's talk about some of these alternatives, okay? Let's talk about the CEO mind shift that needs to happen, okay? I need us to recognize and stop saying to ourselves, I need to hire help. No, 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 no. You're not hiring help. You are building leverage. So I gotta share this story. I gotta share this story with you. So I was doing a lot of the cleaning and cooking and whatever, all the things in the house, right? And I noticed it was something I didn't even recognize before, but I noticed that every time my children or my husband or anyone came and made a mess and they would say, "Oh, don't worry, Kawana, I'll help you clean up." Like, I didn't even notice it. I had already taken it for everything. I'd be like, "Okay, thank you so much for helping me. I appreciate it." And then one day, when there was a whole mess that everybody else made and all the things, and I'm starting to clean, and they said, "Oh, we're gonna come help you." I was like, "No, no, you're not helping me. You're cleaning up after yourself." Like, it was almost like this empowering space where I'm like, no, this is not helping me. As if it is my job to clean up after everybody else. Because if it's my job to clean up after everybody else, then you are helping me do my job. However, if it is our job to clean up after ourselves, then you're not helping me. You're just doing your job. Do you see how that shift changed the game for me? It changed the game for me years ago. And I need you to understand that the people that you're hiring, it's not that they're helping you. Together, you are building leverage. Like, together, you are built, because it's a trade. You are paying them for a service. That service that you're receiving from them, you should be able to leverage to grow the business. And they should have the common goal with you to grow that business, because if they're locked in and they're ready to serve and they're ready to see this thing grow and you can do it together, now you feel like a team, as opposed to that parent where it's like, "Oh, we're here to help you." No, you're not doing me any favors, and I'm not doing you any favors. We're working together. We're leveraging each other's skills to grow. And that's what the team does. Okay, the next shift I need you to make. All right? Team size does not mean that you're big. Just because you have 1,000 people in your team does not mean that you are big. Profit. Your profit margins. How efficient your team is. That's what the indicator should be. That's how you know if you really are having a profitable team. That's how you know. I'm gonna get me some water. That is how you know. What do your profit margins look like? What do your profit margins look like? Are they sizable? It's not about your team size. A lot of people would say, "Oh my goodness, they have 40 workers across the globe. They're doing so well. They have 400 workers in the US. They must be huge." But if it's not efficient, that business owner is still pulling their hair out. It's driving them crazy. And if that business isn't profitable, then it's still a problem. If the business is not sustainable. And this is why you got to have your systems and ducks in a row, even when you're building out these teams. Okay, another shift. Are you ready for the other shift? Here it comes. If you have the right structure, you will literally attract the right people. If you have messy people, most likely your structure is messy. I'm letting you know right now, A players come into a business that have it together. It doesn't have to be huge, but they have to have it together. When they come in and it's chaos and they're confused, they're like, "Why am I here? Why am I here? What am I doing here?" A players don't like confusion. They come in, they want to get their job done. I often tell this story of the time I was helping out in a kitchen and things were all over the place, and it took me 2 hours to cook a meal that should only take me 30 minutes, I was done. Like after the prep work, I was like, let's just order. I'm not doing this. Let's just order. That checkout, that mental checkout, we don't want for our A players. We don't want. Okay? So these are areas that we can shift our mind so we don't make those 3 hiring mistakes that tend to cause our team to bleed our profits. Okay? Like, are we there? Are you with me with that? Okay. So you already know. You already know when I bring a principle, I got to show it to you in the scriptures. You already know. You already know I'm going in. Okay. So I want us to look at the story of Nehemiah. Have you ever read the story of Nehemiah and how he rebuilt the wall for Jerusalem? Do you know that story? Okay. So just in case you don't know the story, you can find it in Nehemiah chapter 2 all the way to chapter 6. Okay? The story is juicy, y'all. The story is juicy. I can't even go too far in. But let me just give you the Cliff Notes version. How about that? Okay. So Nehemiah was so heartbroken because Jerusalem's walls, they were broken down. Okay? They were destroyed. And he went in front of the king. He was serving King Artaxerxes. And the king is like, your countenance is down. What's going on, Nehemiah? Talk to me. Which is so powerful because it shows that the relationship, you don't know that story? Don't worry. Cliff Notes, Solano, Cliff Notes. So here it comes. His countenance was down, but he had an amazing relationship with King Artaxerxes, which is powerful, okay? So, the king cares. He's like, why's your countenance down? And, Nehemiah was just like, he did a quick prayer to the Lord, like, give me some words to say to the king. But long story short, king, Jerusalem's walls are destroyed and they're down, and that's my hometown, my people, all the things. And the king gave him permission. Come on, somebody. To go and rebuild the walls. But he didn't just give him permission. He also gave him resources and backing to go do it. This is the power of influence. But that's another video for another day. I got to stay focused because we're talking about hiring and putting together a profitable team. Okay. Here is the thing. Nehemiah understood the assignment. Building the walls of Jerusalem was not a one-man show. He already knew he needed a team. Already knew, wasn't no question about it, okay? So he knew. So here's the powerful part. He made sure he didn't build the team alone. What he did was he strategically delegated the work to families, craftsmen, community leaders, and he literally assigned each group a specific section of the wall. You can see how he allotted the people and everything all throughout those chapters that I was telling you. Read it. Nehemiah chapter 2 all the way to chapter 6. Around 3 or 4, I believe, is when you start listing out who is doing what part of the wall they're building. He organized that thing. He blueprinted that thing. Okay? And he made sure he knew who was in charge of what and who was doing what. Okay? So he had his KPIs, his success metrics, he had all the things so that when he hired his team and brought them together, everybody was on the same page as to what is successful and what this is supposed to look like. Okay? But here's what's crazy. Because remember I told you earlier in this conversation about that productive procrastination. Sometimes that comes out of distraction. And Nehemiah had to deal with that as well. So while they were rebuilding the wall, enemies came around trying to stop Operation Rebuild the Wall. Yes, they did. They tried to stop them by force. They tried to stop them with their words. They tried to sow discouragement amongst the people, so much so that it got to the point where they had to build out a system of defense just to rebuild the wall. So while some were rebuilding the wall, others were on guard for those that were trying to create some upheaval against and stop the operation. And they would shift. They would be on shifts. Who's watching? Who's building? Who's watching? Who's building? But here was the key. Here was the tea that I was like, Nehemiah, like round of applause. Because the truth of the matter is he could have had that whole situation stop them from building the wall. He was like, oh, no. We are not to be distracted. Oh, no. We have goals to meet. Oh, no, we have KPIs to hit. So even though we're getting buffeted on this end and issues are coming around and all these, guess what's going to get done? This wall. The king allowed us, sent resources. Guess what's going to be finished? This wall. So if that means we just need a system of defense and we're just going to do this in shifts, that's what we're going to do. That's what he did. He did not allow for productive procrastination to take place, where now you're just fighting off the people that are coming, fighting off all the fires that come in day to day, dealing with all the fires, but not moving the needle. Can someone hear what I am saying? Sorry. Because how many of us know as CEOs, as business owners, as founders, that we get fires every day? Every day there's a fire to put out. Oh, this problem to solve, this problem to solve. And if we get caught up in those weeds, guess what doesn't get done? The needle moving work that we have to do. Put in the comments if you know what I'm talking about is the truth. Put in the comments because you know what I am saying is the truth. So you see it right here in scripture. We are not to be distracted. We are to keep moving forward with our needle moving activities. We're not doing productive procrastinations out here in these streets. Absolutely not. All right. So Nehemiah was the visionary. He was not the laborer. He orchestrated everything. He made sure everything was together. He had a plan. He gave out specific roles, right? He trusted the people to do the work. He wasn't micromanaging them. Okay. He didn't let people pleasing, burnout, or insecurity pull him into micromanage. Well, we got to make sure that these folk that are looking at us, make sure that they don't, talk bad about it. He didn't have time for that. Get the job done. He protected the goal. He set up boundaries and he made sure his structure and systems were in place. That is necessary, believe it or not, when you're considering hiring the right people. Your systems, your structure, making sure that the people you hire fit into that. You got to know these things. You got to know these things. And you got to know that it's not up to us to pick up the bricks ourselves. Nehemiah didn't pick up the brick himself and start building the wall by himself. Does it seem like I'm coming a bit too hard? You know what it is? You know what it is, y'all? Can I tell you what it is? Just a moment. Just give me a moment. Just let me have a moment. Here's what it is. I am seeing majority business owners carrying this weight by themselves, running their companies. And then when they hire a team member or two or three and it doesn't work out, they're like, see, this is why I just need to do it myself. Not recognizing that there are some mistakes that we are making as founders that cause the team members not to do the best or not to do well or cause us not to hire well. We're going to go over all of this on Sunday. You guys, go listen. On my page, in the links, in the bio, and possibly after this live is done, if it's not already in the description, there's a link for the masterclass. Sign up. Be there. Be there. All right. So here it comes. You also know something about me because you saw it in scripture. But I love a good case study. Put in the chat, case study. Put in the comments, case study. If you love a good case study. Let me tell you why I love case studies. I love case studies because literally when you see something in scripture and then you see it come to fruition in a real life case study, guess what happens to you? it helps with your faith. Like, well, it happened with them and they didn't even know. They were tapping into these principles. I know about these principles. I'm about to tap in, cash into the promises of our living God. Come on, somebody. Okay? So let's talk about case studies out here in these entrepreneur streets. So the case study I want to talk about is, come on, Larry. The case study I want to talk about is for the company Basecamp. Have you ever heard of that company before? The company Basecamp. So let me tell you about Basecamp. So Basecamp was created in 2004. Where are we now? 2025. Moses loves him a good case study. Let's go. Basecamp was created in 2004 by Jason Fried. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Forgive me, Jason. If someone links him onto this video, I didn't mean it. Jason Fried and David Hansen. All right? So originally, Basecamp was an internal tool that they used for their web design agency in order to handle their project management. Okay? They were managing client work, projects, communication, and they were drowning in all the email chaos. And so they created a system for themselves so that they can streamline and they can work systems. And they built this project management tool. What was that tool? That tool was Basecamp. It worked so well that they said, you know what? Let's turn this into a product. Why not? Why not get paid for, a tool that we created that works for us? We can tell folk how it works for us. Let's sell it. Why not? Guess what happened? Their product, Basecamp, outpaced the rest of the entire agency income. They were like, what are we thinking? Listen, they were just like, okay, agency schmagency. How about that? They shut that agency down and went all in on the software. All in. Anyone here ever used Basecamp? I have used Basecamp. I have used Basecamp before. Have anyone in here? Put in the comments if you've ever used Basecamp. Let me tell you why this was so key. From day one, I just wanted to tell you how this happened. From day one, the founders, they rejected the Silicon Valley obsession with rapid scaling, over-hiring, chasing VC funding, building bloated teams, right? They rejected all of that, and they said, what if we build a calm, focused company that actually makes profit? What a concept, what a concept, what a concept, what a concept, okay? That makes profit, not headlines. What if we did that? What if we focused on that? What if we just had a simple software that did one job very well? How many times? Look, I have said it to my clients multiple times. Let's focus on the one thing and make that one thing astronomically good. Let's make that one thing. So they just focused on that. They focused on small cross-functional teams. Okay? They focused on clarifying each role from their team. They focused on systems that empower autonomy instead of oversight. Yes. Let me tell you what's crazy about this. Can I tell you? Because they did this, their team is like less than 50 employees and they're running a multi-million-dollar company. Literally. It operates with a tiny team compared to its competitors like Asana or Monday.com. It avoids traditional performance reviews, annual plans, C-suite chaos. They cut all that out. They release multiple products now. And here's the good part. Employees work roughly around 4 days a week most of the year. Getting so much more done with less work. Have you ever heard of the books Rework or It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work? Have you ever heard of those books? They wrote those books. Those are best-selling books. Read about it. Read it. And you can see their approach to running a lean, profitable, and calm company. Yes, read those books. They run a multi-million-dollar company right now, y'all, with less than 50 employees. Leveraging technology, all the things. What is their motto? Small is not just beautiful, it's more efficient. Why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this up? They probably don't even know that they're following certain principles that we just saw and talked about in Nehemiah. You want me to drop the title of the books? Let me tell you the books. One book is called Rework. The other book, It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work. Read those. Okay? Absolutely. So, let's talk about the bottom line lessons for all of this. All right? You don't have to hire roles for roles' sake. Make sure that the roles that you're hiring are clearly defined and that you can see where they will be profitable. Make sure. Make sure every hire is measured against, will this person increase or protect the profits of the company? Make sure. Yes, those are the names of the books, Solano. Yeah, make sure. So that you can stop bleeding your profits with your team. Because here's the point. The point of hiring the team is so you can leverage them and you're not doing all the work. You're not struggling. You're not the one burn out and pulling your hair out and all the things. Right? Right? That's the whole purpose. That's the whole point. And so we want to ensure that these are the things. So just like Nehemiah didn't build the wall alone, Basecamp didn't scale by hiring 500 people. They built with intention. They delegated with clarity, just like Nehemiah. They led with a focus, just like Nehemiah. Huh? So if right now in your business, can I bring it home? Can I talk to you all? Can I talk to you? Lean in, lean in. If your team feels heavy, okay? If your team feels heavy, your profit margins feel tight. If you're spending more time managing people than growing your business, it's not your fault. Don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up. Most people were never taught how to build out proper, lean, high-performing teams. That is just the truth. Because if this was common knowledge, so many more business owners would do it and so many businesses would be successful and the failure rate of small businesses would not be as high as it is. So don't panic. Don't panic. Now you know better. We just had a whole conversation. Now we know how we need to do things, all right? And you see it for yourself that it's possible. You see it's possible. You see it in Nehemiah. Go read that. You see it with the case study of Basecamp. You see that, okay? And the CEOs, I want you to notice this. The CEOs that lead with structure and clarity, they are the ones that scale with peace and profit. You gotta lead with structure and clarity. I'm trying to tell y'all. So I'm gonna give this one invitation again. This Sunday, couple days. Literally, we're doing a free masterclass to talk about building out your profitable team, right? And so join it. Get this information so you can start building out your teams properly, okay? We're going to break it down, all right? And as I said, the link will be, if it's not already there, in the description box or on my bio. Free masterclass. It will say free masterclass. Share this with your friend, your CEO friends. Don't let them build alone. If you call yourself someone's friend, you're going to share this. You're not going to sit there and say, well, I got all the tea for myself, and then let them suffer. Share it with others who need to hear this, all right? Like this, like it, share it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe, because I'm going to be coming on here talking the tea, about building profitable teams and businesses and growing and scaling the way we should, because we're trying to annihilate the small business failure rate, all right? And remember this, because I do have to go, but remember this. You don't have to carry the weight of growing your business alone. You just need the right structure. And you also need the right team and systems, all right? And we're here to help you. So sign up for the masterclass. Let us help you, all right? And until next time, you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Be blessed. Bye-bye.